Well, good morning.
Good morning.
So here I am away from the sanctuary for 1 week, and I've forgotten how to do everything in here. Pam and I were visiting earlier this morning, and boy, it feels like a whole lot longer than 7 days ago that we were in the park doing church confirmation, but it was a wonderful, wonderful Sunday, and it was a great one, and I know I'm always going to remember. But anyway, here we are today. And this is a big day, because this is Mother's Day. It's a huge thing. So for all of you moms, grandmothers, or wannabes out there, happy Mother's Day. Riley, go ahead and give me the eye roll and the shake of the head. Yeah, thank you. You know, people do that all the time, but this girl is an absolute master at it. All right, so there is Sunday school, maybe. I don't know if there's Sunday school going on downstairs or not, but let's say there might be. And let's go to our order of worship for today. And today, for Mother's Day, we will do a call to worship. It's not going to be exactly the way you're used to singing a call to worship. And then we're going to do a Mother's Day litany. It's going to involve both of us. And we're going to light some candles from mothers and families and others that are important to us as well. We've got 2 songs today. The second one, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, is a fun song not only to do, and everybody knows that song, but also there's a story behind it. I'll share that when it's time to sing that song. And so with that, let's move into our call to worship. So if you would please find yourself in a very comfortable position. Find yourselves open. Find yourselves ready to receive the Spirit that you feel. The Spirit of God calls us from many places. Some of us come from busy homes with many families. Some of us live alone. Yet here we are, part of a family. This week has been different for each one of us. Some of us have had happy news we want to celebrate. Some others, we've faced grief, and we need to cry a little. Yet here we are, members of this family and members of God's family. We all come to this place, all of us seeking God's presence in our lives, all of us seeking God's presence with one another, and together we become that family. We become the family of God. And so this morning, together, let us worship. And so we recognize mothers and how important they are to us. And so let's do a small celebration. And it will be a part that will involve both of us, and your parts again are bold and underlined, and they're fairly easy. And let us recognize by lighting candles, and even though I had the regular candles out, when I got to the box, I realized that I had the wonderful confirmation candles from last week. And they were so cool, I'm going to use those again. And so, nurturing God, we light this candle in recognition of the great care and love you have for each one of us. Nurturing God, we light this candle in thanksgiving for all mothers, for all they did or once did, for all they give or have given, for all they mean and will always mean to us. I'm sorry, you have a part. There it is. Nurturing God, be praised and thank you. I got so wrapped up in my candles, I forgot you. Nurturing God, we light this candle for all families throughout the world. Nurturing God, we praise and thank you. Nurturing God, we light this candle for the family of the church, here and everywhere. Nurturing God, we praise and thank you. Nurturing God, we light this candle for all who nurture and encourage others. Nurturing God, we praise and thank you. So together, let us sing, Love Divine, all love's excelling. Today's reading is from the first chapter of John, which is toward the end of the New Testament, beginning with the 5th chapter. Every person who believes that Jesus is, in fact, the Messiah is God-born. If we love the one who conceives the child, we'll surely love the child who was conceived. The reality test on whether or not we love God's children is this: do we love God? Do we keep God's commandments? The proof that we love God comes when we keep his commandments, and they are not at all troublesome. Every God-born person conquers the world's ways. The conquering power that brings the world to its knees is our faith. The person who wins out over the world's ways is simply the one who believes Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus, the divine Christ, he experienced a life-giving birth and a death, killing death. Not only birth from the womb, but baptismal birth at his ministry and sacrificial death. And all the while, the Spirit is confirming the truth, the reality of God's presence at Jesus' baptism and crucifixion, bringing those occasions alive for us. A triple testimony: the Spirit, the baptism, the crucifixion, and the three in perfect agreement. So again, happy Mother's Day. There are 3 days during the church year where, as a church, you expect to have a pretty good crowd. And of course, the first one is Christmas. Right after that is Easter. And the third one is Mother's Day. And in a typical year, we usually see a lot of folks in church with mothers. It wasn't that long ago that it was traditional to make or get mom a corsage so she could wear it to church. Put that type of thing in, and I don't know if we do that anymore or not. I haven't seen that for a while, but I bet it's a possibility and it could still happen. I know that from data from phone companies that today, Mother's Day, is the highest day for phone volume in the entire year. That this is when people want to get on the phone and call mom and see what they can do. Because this is a day when we honor mothers and grandmothers, or for many of us, really important women that were in our lives in one way or another. And you know who they are, and you can think of that. But it's on Mother's Day. It's a day to celebrate those who not only are biologically our parent, our mother, but also those who meant so much to us and carried that mother role out to help us along our way as well. It's a day about memories, and it's tough. It's tough to talk about your mom. I mean, how do you really put into words what you think or what you're feeling about your mother? It's hard to do. It's hard to try and get a grasp on how big that reality of that love is from the mother. It's hard to describe. It's hard to find words to even describe it. But it is, again, a day when we think about our mothers and we get filled and rushed with memories of what it is. And we learn a lot from our mothers, too. I can tell you that from my mom, and she's been gone for a little while, too, but from my mom, I learned a lot. In fact, I didn't realize how much I learned from her until I was quite a bit older. And the things that she taught me. Things like, Rich, this is what logic means. If I was a young kid and I wanted to do something, and Mom said no, and I said why, she taught me logic. It's because I said so. That's why. She taught me about having foresight, about looking ahead, about planning ahead. She would always tell me as I was a little bit older and I was going to go away somewhere, she would always tell me, you know what they always told you when it was ready to go away? You know where this is going, don't you? Make sure you got good underwear on and it's clean, just in case. Just in case. My mom taught me about ironing and what that really meant. And again, when I was young and I wanted to do something and she would say no, and you know, as a youngster, and some of you that are still not incredibly old, I'm here to know that sometimes you start to whimper a little bit because you got told no. And that's when Mom taught me about ironing. And she said, look, you keep crying and I will give you something to cry about. We learn about all those things. She taught me about weather when I was older, maybe in high school or in junior high. And she would come to my room and say, it would appear that a tornado has gone through this room. She taught me about weather as well. And also, the circle of life. Circle of life from Mom went like this. I brought you into this world, and I can take you out of this world. And there's other memories that come up too, and then I can't really hit any at all, except I remember one that Paula would share with you that involves a pizza pan and our son, and his mouth running a little bit. We still own that pizza pan. We can't use it because it's still bent. It was across his bottom, so it wasn't incredibly bad. And it sounded way worse than it was. But it made the point. It made the point. Mothers have such an important thing in it all the time. They're so important to us. So I guess it's true. I guess it's true that you can fool all of the people some of the time, and you can fool some of the people all the time, but you can't fool your mom. You can't get away with it. It doesn't work. So, here in church, when we think about mothers, and we get into the Bible, and we get into our beliefs, and the Bible is full of examples of strong women, of mothers, and the ones that will come to mind for all of us right away, of course, are Mary, the mother of Jesus. There's an important person. What she went through as a teenager to get pregnant, what she went through to protect her child, and what she went through to find out that her kid really was somebody. When she had to watch what happened to him when they decided to end his life so he'd stop doing that ministry that was messing up the social part of the life of the empire at that time. She had to go through that too. We are familiar with, or at least somewhat familiar with, Elizabeth, who was a friend of Mary's. We read about this in Matthew. And Elizabeth happened to be the mother of John the Baptist. And I'm sure Elizabeth had plans for her son to be an accountant or an engineer. And he decided to take on this ministry thing where he'd be wandering in the wilderness wearing old clothes and baptizing people for literally nothing. So he ate bugs and honey and kept himself alive that way. But he was an important person. And of course, we don't want to rule out Eve, because Eve is in the first part of the Bible. And Eve played a big role in the story of how everything came back together. And although we don't have exact proof of Eve, there is a story that helps us do it. And so Eve carries part of what we're doing too. But here's what we run into when we get into the Bible is we are so in tune to God as a father figure. And the reason that is because way back in the day, back especially in the Old Testament times, it was common for a man to have more than one wife and slaves, and he was able to, almost expected to, have children with any or all of them. And so the man was the patriarch, the man was the head of the house, the man was the one with power. And so as these words were written down, it makes sense that it made sense for everybody to make God that patriarch the way it is. But here's what we do know about God. God is a spirit. I told you earlier it's hard to come up with words to describe what a mother is like. It's even harder to come up with words and an understanding of what God really is. It's just way beyond the understanding that we got. And so God is the Spirit, and His Spirit has no gender. There is no gender with it. It could be a father, it could be a mother, it could be a brother, it could be a sister, because it all works together that way. God is this strong, strong spirit, and that understanding is just way beyond what we can handle, what we can bring into our lives. We can't describe the power. I don't think we can describe the vastness of what it is. And so, maybe it seems a little awkward, but not to me, to refer to God as a mother. God has that nurturing, that love, that feel that you would expect and you would see from motherhood. A mother is caring and tender. God is caring and tender. A mother is nurturing to her children. God is nurturing to each one of us, the children of God. Mothers are quite wise. There's absolutely no doubt that God is wise. Mothers are all-knowing. And we know that God is an all-knowing presence. God, or our mother, is full of love and will freely give it. And God is love and freely gives that love. It's the same thing. It is so easy to think of God as that loving mother who is there to take care of you, to make sure that things go the way it should, to keep you fed, whether it's with real food or even if it's that spiritual food, to keep you going with that. From a mother being able to literally bring a child into being from inside of you and then provide to that person, to the physical, the emotional, maybe even the spiritual bond that comes between us. This is a connection that's hard to understand. Again, it's hard to describe. But the connection that we can feel with our mothers is almost godlike. God is like a mother. God we look at as our mother. Mothers may allow a child to fall sometimes, even to fail once in a while, to give a little freedom. Even sometimes, as moms, you're going to sit there going, sometimes I had to let my child hurt a little bit. I had to do it, and it killed me to watch that, but I knew that I had to do it. God does the very same thing. God gives us the free will to make the choices we want to. We can be all in, or we can wander away, and we all know that we wander way too often. But we do, don't we? We do. We sometimes don't stay connected with that place at all. God gives us that free will. Now, I understand that Mother God is probably never going to quite replace God the Father. And in a little bit, we're going to pray, and we're going to pray the Lord's Prayer. Of course, it is Our Father, who art in heaven, and you would think I changed the words for today, but purposely did not. Decided to leave it the way it is. But maybe we need to expand our view just a little bit. Maybe we need to think of God as that loving parent. And we need to view God as more of a mother figure. Because that's the love that we understand, and really the love that we all seek. Maybe it's an easier way for us to understand the beauty and the bigness of the love that God has for all of us. You know from your relationship with your mother, no matter what it was like or anything, there's still a tug that you have in it. And in most cases, it's a good feeling that you have. In one way or another, you can remember the good things. And even though moms may not be with us anymore, we can still hold them with us. And even if they are still with us, there's that memory that we've got that we can keep down here inside of us. And we've got that love for moms one way or another. We can feel that whole thing. With God and the relationship we have with God, God, our mother, created the universe. Is everywhere, can do everything, has the power of love. It's bigger than we can even comprehend. And yet, amazing as that may be, and the great spirit that God is, we have the ability to hold on to that, pull that inside of us as well. To be part of it. God, our protector. God, our mother. Happy Mother's Day. Amen. All right, so now we're going to sing a song that you know. And there's a reason I chose this one, and the reason is the lyrics for this particular song, which everybody knows, was written by a woman named Julia Ward Howe. Now, what does that mean? Well, I need to tell you that Julia Ward Howe not only wrote these lyrics, but also wrote a paper that was entitled Appeal of Womanhood Through the World. What she was asking for is to women to unite, to bring peace to the world. And that evolved into a Mother's Day for peace. And about 35 or 36 years after she proposed it, it became known as Mother's Day. And so the lyricist of this song is also the mother of Mother's Day. Let's sing. It's always a fun song. Everybody knows that song. Did you find that the music that I found with this one involves, I have a site that has a lot of duty-free music that can be used, and this one was played by a little band. You can hear the drums and stuff going with it. And they also didn't give us a lot of time to figure out the words as we were going through it, so you just kept right on going. Actually, I got to listen to this 3 or 4 times before I brought it to you, so I knew some of the words were going to have to hustle through. Anyway, so I'm going to ask you to find yourself now in a time of prayer. We place up on the screen those that we know are still seeking our support, still seeking us to keep them in their prayers. Together, let's join in prayer. O God of love, all other loves excelling, we are privileged to be your eternal family, to be children of such a parent, loving us so perfectly. On this wonderful Mother's Day morning, we come to you celebrating the gift of family. We see your glory and your wisdom in the diversity of that gift, of diversity that has always existed. We pray for small families and for large families. We ask your blessing on multi-generational families and for single-person families. We pray especially for broken families and for families wrapped in uncertainty. We see in your holy word and in our unholy world all kinds of families with every sort of challenge, joy, failure, and pain. You haven't given up on families, Lord, so help us to support them in all of their shapes and situations. Families are not perfect places, Lord, no matter how hard we try, because we are imperfect people. We need your kind of love for each other. We need your kind of clean slate forgiveness for each other, and that's hard. Make us grateful when we have been parented wisely and well. Remind us all that we always have you and this covenant family, a home away from home. You are like a mother who will not abandon a child in her arms, like a father who runs to welcome the prodigal home. For you are love, and when we love, we are like you. Lord, we would reflect the love to our earthly family and to your whole precious creation, which you loved enough to send your only Son to save. Greater love has no one. And it is to you and in your Son's dear name that we pray now together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Today is also kind of a special Sunday, but we couldn't get it to work out for our one senior to be with us today. That Matt Hess is graduating from high school next weekend. And yes, we do have a blanket for Matt that we will present to him. We'll get it to him before his graduation, and we'll find another day down the road where we can do the official presentation in church. I suppose I could show you the blanket. Should we do that? So can I get a couple of folks to help me up here? Thanks, Nelson. Nelson's got a few inches on you.
We both did.
Here we go. All right, so Paula, you're going to use a stem. Have I got this right?
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we love doing these things, and of course we always include a huge picture of the church on the blankets that we give. We always include a snapshot of the confirmation class if they were part of the class here. And with Matt, one of the things that he was really into was going on these mission trips. And so there's a photo of the final mission trip he was on. Dawson, that's the one with all the rocks in the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that, yeah. These guys worked their little tails off on that plan right there. And then, of course, a senior picture, if we can get it, and we were able to get that a few weeks ago. And so we got that taken care of. And so there is Matt's blanket that we'll give to him. Like I said, we will have him bring it back, and we will do a full presentation to him at a later date. So, congratulations to Matt. Thank you, guys. Yep. I forgot to advance the slide to that. All right, so check out the volunteer cleaning list at the back. I know we have one family for this month, but we do need to pick up another one. And so if you have the opportunity to do so, please sign up to help out with this month. And I think June is in good shape. Anyway, check it anyway. Let's get it way, way ahead if we can. Next Sunday, of course, we're doing, turn my microphone on. I've been told I don't even need a microphone because I'm that loud. It helps a little bit, doesn't it? Next Sunday, that advanced without me. We have worship at 9:30, Sunday school still at 9:30, and then after church, something that we haven't seen for quite a bit, we're going to do coffee. And so plan on hanging around for a little while and staying with people. And so coffee begins. I don't like using the words going back to or returning to. I like to think of something as new. So coffee after church begins, and all you have to do is before you leave today, go back to the bulletin board and look at the sheet, and somewhere on there put your name of when you are going to provide stuff for the coffee, because we're doing that, because that's what we know what to do. And we're lost without sign-up sheets in church, so we have some now that we can do as well. Another thing is next Sunday after worship, during the coffee, we received word from our friends down at Blue Springs Terrace that they are good to go for us to make a visit down there, and absolutely missing Larchwood so bad that I think they're willing to do just about anything to get us back down there. And so let's take an exploration. Let's have a quick little meeting. If you don't have an opportunity to be here next week, and here's the deal. Even if you don't know if you can go, but you're thinking you might, think about it. Check with Deb back there, Deb Mosier, and let her know so we get an idea. We're going to have a sheet up next Sunday. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, we'll see. We got to get a few people to come along and help out with that little thing. And a lot of us that have been old-timers with that thing have suddenly become old-timers and realize that we can't get down on our knees like we used to. And so having some younger adults, and younger adults means that you are less than, I don't know, Langley, less than 60. Is that a young adult? It is, yes. So qualified, if you're under 60, that you are a young adult, that we could use some help on that too. If you have been on one of these trips, they are delightful. They are fun. We get to meet some amazing people down there, and we get to have a lot of fun. And you get to learn a lot about yourself and people that you're on the trip with. If you haven't been on one, think about it. Just think about it. And we don't have days set or anything. It's probably going to take out maybe 3 weekdays, one on one end or the other. But we'll talk that through too, just to make it work as well as we can for everybody else. One more thing I want you to be aware of is this is brand new, but we'll keep it in front of you for a while, and we'll even send you some things so you're aware of it. But on Wednesday, June 2nd, we're doing a special worship service. And the reason we're doing a special worship service, is because we have a person that we're very interested in looking at to become the pastor of our church. And that particular person is very interested in looking at our church to come here and serve it. And it just seems to all be coming together, but it's necessary for you to meet this person, and it's necessary for that person to get to meet you and see where it is. And so we're going to do that service, and it's going to have to be on a Wednesday because that's just how it's going to work out. I know it's unusual, and the more people we can get here, the better it's going to be. The plan right now is we're not going to do a vote that night, that we will call a special congregational meeting somewhere 2 to 3 weeks after that date, and we'll do a little survey and a little conversation with all of you to see what you think as to whether we want to go ahead with this individual or not. But it'd be worth your time coming if you can give us that Wednesday for, I think it's a guy. I think he's about a 45 or 50-minute worship service guy. So he's a little more long-winded than me, although today not much. So we're pushing it just a little bit. But anyway, get that in your head, start thinking about that, and we'll keep that in front of you as many times as we can. Other than that, are there any other things, Deborah?
Except one quick thing, the council meets tomorrow night, that's not on our agenda, is whether we talk to the mask mandates. So, Bob, Jill, and I are on the council, we hang around that, so if you feel strongly about that, you can just thumbs up or thumbs down. Whatever.
Okay, thank you, Deb. So, the council meets tomorrow evening, and the topic is, if you didn't hear all of it, the topic is where we want to go with the mandate we have on masks and worship, and at what point are we going to feel comfortable or uncomfortable. And so, without even hesitating, find Joe, Bob, or Deb and give an opinion one way or another. Just do that today so they have something to go on, so they don't have to guess what you're all thinking. Does that work, guys? It's the mandatory mask thing. It's mandatory that you talk to them about the mandatory mask. All right, anything else? All right, we're good to go. So for a benediction today. Go now in the comfort and peace of the one who gave birth to us. Go in the assurance that the Comforter is always with you. Go to give comfort and peace to others. Divine wisdom, guide us as we go forward on her paths of peace. Amen.